Finally. Okay, let's try and restart this all over again because I tried doing this podcast into two different sections, but both videos got blocked because I was stupid and forgot to turn the audio off and the music. So, let's try this again. Start from the beginning. This is Jin-X-Ken Gaming, and usually on this channel we do gaming videos, but I'm going to start a new series, a podcast, where we talk about sports and what is going on in sports. Currently, I am in college studying to be a journalist and possibly, work with cameras and stuff to be a sports broadcaster or a sports journalist or something along those lines. So I have decided to, on this channel, not only do gaming videos, but do podcasts to get better associated with doing this on a daily. So that way when I do graduate and I do move on to a future job, then at least I have the experience from this. And when that does happen, um, I may not continue this series. I would love to say I would, because I really would love to keep doing this, because it's my own little thing, my own little podcast. But I'm not sure. But for right now, I want to do this, so then that way, you guys, if you watch in on this, you watch it live, you can discuss it with me. As you can see on the right side, I have it all set up to where I can read your comments and, hear what you guys think about a certain situation. And so it really helps me with feedback. So it's one of those things where it's like it's a last minute decision. There will still be gaming videos on this channel. I know there hasn't been in a while. There was an issue with my mic. We got to fix, so now we can keep doing stuff like this. If you want to be in on these conversations and these podcasts, subscribe to this channel, let it grow. So then that way you know when we can do this. There are probably other channels that do something like this. I'm not sure, but I want to engage you guys into it, and I want to do it on a daily and have you guys, do this with me, and I don't want to do this alone. So there's a lot of gaming channels out there. There's a lot of sports channels. Why not combine both of them, do our own little thing? We've got Madden on in the background. I just got done, doing something with that. Hopefully I can get that posted online so you guys can see it. This little update before we actually begin the podcast. Not sure what we're gonna call the podcast yet. We will in the future have a name for it. Hopefully I can have other people with me that you guys can hear as well when we do these, and it's not just me, it's somebody else. But then you guys also can join in and do these conversations with us. And I know for the first couple videos, we might not get a lot of people. Hopefully here soon, though, we do raise the popularity of this, so then that way we can get more people engaged in this. And I will try and do podcasts two a night, half hour each. Tonight might just be the 1/2 hour because, well, I had two videos and they both got blocked. And so we're just gonna do the one podcast probably tonight. But moving on forward, we'll probably do two, maybe three, 4 nights a week, depending on how busy everything goes during my week. Then that way you guys can get involved. We'll try it, and maybe I'll do one in the morning, one at night, or I'll do two at night. We'll try and find a schedule so that everybody can be involved. And, because you really can't have a podcast without feedback. And I really don't want to do a podcast where I don't have anybody talking to me and I'm just doing the talking myself. I would love to hear interaction from everybody, if, whether it be, comment, if you like the podcast and you liked hearing what like you liked hearing what I had to say, or if you liked hearing information or something like that. If you liked the video, then I know that, and I can keep continuing with this. If you subscribe, then I know. If eventually, if for you know, if this doesn't go on, then I'll just leave it as it is, and maybe we'll even get less with it, and I'll focus more on the gaming videos. But if you guys like it, then I'll keep it going. Maybe we can even get more people involved with it, not just me, somebody else, or we can get it both. You know, we'll go that in the future. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and um, interesting. Let's go ahead and talk about what this podcast is really about. So to begin, college football playoffs are upon us, and currently we have the AP. Once I get to pull it up, man, I'll tell you what, internet be slow these days. Okay, so currently right now we there's a lot of controversy in the college football world these days. And the reason I say that is for the simple reason that now that Alabama has lost, a lot of stuff has happened. And I mean a lot of stuff has happened. Now we have all these different scenarios that can go down now that, again, Alabama has lost. It feels weird saying that because Alabama was undefeated. Had one more game to go before the sectional championship. Undefeated. And they had Auburn, who at that time lost 2 games. And you know what Alabama did?
You blew it!
Yeah, they lost. Which means they're not in the sectional championship now. Which now means they don't have another game on their slate until we get to the bowl games. And you know what that means? They now have no chance to redeem themselves until it is too late and the selections have already started. So they will be out of the playoffs. And I know I get a lot of fans saying, well, Alabama has only got 1 loss, and some of these teams in the playoffs have 2 losses. Well, that's true, and don't get me wrong, record plays into everything. You have to look at other stuff such as strength of schedule, quality wins, quality losses. How convincing of a win was it towards another team, like the point differential, like stuff like that. There's a lot more that goes into it than just a record. I've had a lot of people get mad at me for not saying Alabama should be in the top 4, which they shouldn't. They're in a good place at 5 because then they didn't move. They moved out of the top 4, which is devastating, but now they're at the 5, so the first one out. So it's not too bad. They will still be in a bowl game. Please do not hate me because I said I don't like Alabama being in the top 4. It has nothing to do with that. They are a great team. They have a great coach, great history. They just shouldn't be in this year because of what happened at the wrong time. You got Clemson at 1, Oklahoma at 2, Wisconsin at 3, Auburn at 4, again Alabama at 5, Georgia at 6, Miami at 7, Ohio State at 8, Penn State at 9, TCU at 10. We're not going to go any lower below 10 for the simple reason that no team that is ranked 10 or lower has made the college football playoffs. And we're being very fair to TCU because they are 10 right now, but they have a big implication in these college football conference championships this weekend. Since they're in one, we're going to include them. They have a big implication on these that could really affect who gets in and who doesn't. Okay, so we're going to start off with Clemson. Clemson can make it if they win against Miami. Oklahoma can make it if they win against TCU. Wisconsin will make it if they win against Ohio State, and Auburn will make it if they win against Georgia. Seems pretty fair with the top 4. They win, they're in. Nothing wrong. Now here's where the interesting part gets. If Clemson loses to Miami, they'll be in. If Oklahoma loses to TCU, Oklahoma falls out, Alabama moves in. If Wisconsin loses and Ohio State wins, and frankly, I'm being fair with Ohio State here because they are eighth and Alabama is 5. I feel like Ohio State should be in over Alabama for the simple reason that Alabama is not playing in their championship game. So I'm being very fair here. The only way I see Alabama going into the playoffs is if Oklahoma loses. Because if Ohio State beats Wisconsin, I honestly and I say this in a way that it's weird in a way I say it, I guess, is that Ohio State does have 2 losses, but they did win their conference championship if they beat Wisconsin. Now, do I think Wisconsin's going to lose? No, I think Wisconsin will beat Ohio State. But if Ohio State wins, you ask yourself who's going to go in, Alabama or Ohio State. And you have an argument for both, but I think with Ohio State, who they have played, and don't get me wrong, they lost to Iowa State by a lot, but if they win, they should be in over Alabama because Alabama, while they did lose to a 6 Auburn, so that's a better quality loss, they didn't really play anybody. Like, the only team I can think of that they played that was ranked and that is still ranked is, at least I still think they are, Mississippi State. Yeah, Mississippi State is still ranked, but they are 24th. You know, you look at, oh, well, they played Florida State, and Florida State was 3 when they played. Yeah, well, are they ranked now? No, they suck. So you can't use that argument anymore, Alabama fans. I don't, with strength of schedule, I don't think Alabama should be in over Ohio State. But if they put them in, I won't be mad. Either way, you know. So that's what we look at there. Now, Auburn and Georgia, if Auburn loses, Georgia will leapfrog Alabama to get in. Okay, so now we looked at that. Penn State, I don't think they're going to be in. Penn State has just, they just don't, I don't see them getting in because they are in the ninth seed. God, I'm thinking NFL playoffs now. They are the 9th ranked team in the country. They don't have another game though, and so like when bowl selection comes, it'll be too late already for them to be placed. So they're not gonna make it. That is unfortunate, but that's just how it rolls. TCU will not make it, but again, they have a big implication on the who will make it into the playoffs. If they win, you have a big argument as to who gets in and who doesn't. Because, I mean, in all honesty, you think about it. If Auburn and Wisconsin both lose, Georgia will get in because they beat Auburn. They will leapfrog Alabama. But then you get in the conversation of Wisconsin losing to Ohio State. Does Alabama or Ohio State get in? I still think it should be Ohio State. But then you think, well, does Georgia move up to 3? Does Ohio State go to 3? Does Ohio State go to 4? Does Alabama move in? You know, there's a bunch of discussion with that. I honestly think Alabama should be out of the playoffs. I think they should be 5. I think they should just stay put because I don't see why if your only quality win is over a Mississippi State team that you had to beat in the last seconds, then I don't see why you should be able to leapfrog somebody like Ohio State, who, yes, they did lose to Iowa State, and they do have another loss besides that, but it's not like they had to play, teams that were non-ranked like Alabama did. They played teams that were ranked. They beat number 2 Penn State at one point, and that is a really big quality win that should be looked into when it comes down to these 2 teams. These 2 teams are going to be the ones to make or break the committee because it will be so hard to pick between the 2 because both of them will not be able to go in. Either way you look at it, one of them will stay out. Both of them cannot make it. And you look at it and you just say Ohio State has a better resume than Alabama does. And I get the regular argument. I get the quality wins and quality losses argument. But even at that, with the wins and losses, Alabama, yes, they did lose to a 6th ranked team. What other quality win did they have besides Mississippi State? They didn't. And so you look at Ohio State. They beat a number 2 Penn State. They beat I don't know if Michigan State was ranked at the time, but or did they lose to gosh, I don't even know my own. I do know that they did beat a couple of ranked teams, but offhand I don't remember who they beat. Okay, so we're looking at their schedule right now, and going over it, they did beat a 2 Penn State. They lost to Oklahoma, so that is their other, but that is a quality loss because Oklahoma is 2. And so they beat Penn State. They did beat Michigan. They really blew out Michigan State. Wow, I did not expect it to be that much. So yes, they do have more quality wins and a better quality loss than Auburn has. I know the one is going to play into it and it shouldn't, but it will. So that is how the college football playoffs I feel like will play out. Now, who wins it is another podcast we'll discuss it in. But for now, that's how the college football playoffs will be. Um, Unfortunately, if your team is not in the top 8, then you really don't have a chance. The top 8 teams, you can make an argument for them, especially if they win their respected game. Then, you know, you could make an argument for them. And I feel like whoever wins, and unfortunately, Alabama is the odd man out because they do not have a game. And that is what is going to mess with them in the end. They do not have a game, so that means that they should not be able to have a chance to be. Well, they shouldn't. It's not that they shouldn't have a chance, but they shouldn't be overlooked because they are Alabama and they have a great history. They should not be automatically assumed that they have a better resume than these other teams when these other teams beat teams that are ranked higher than Alabama. So it's one of those things. Wisconsin is ranked 3rd, Alabama is ranked 5th. If you beat a 3rd-ranked team, you should be in the playoffs. That's just how I feel about it. I feel you should be a conference champion unless there are some exceptions, like with Ohio State and Penn State last year. Ohio State had the one loss to Penn State. I still feel that Penn State should have gotten in over Ohio State, but I see why they put Ohio State in. You could make the argument for that. Unfortunately, they did get blown out 31-0 to Clemson. Um, so that's the thing. You talk about just like who gets in and who doesn't, and it's one of those things. It's do you put a team in because of their name, because of their um, you know, just everything. It's one of those things because you don't want one of these. I don't know what that was. That was a weird. I don't even want to. What? That was a weird ad. um, and so you just, yeah, you don't want another blowout. So that's the other thing you got to look at too. Ohio State really opened some eyes with that. Okay, so now that I feel like I'm done with that discussion because I feel like that is something that it's pretty much been decided that there's only 8 teams with a chance, and you do have teams that could come out of nowhere, and because after this weekend, I do feel that we already have our top 4 right now. And this weekend will not change anything. I feel like each team will win their championship, they'll stay in the top 4, and we will have no discussion. But then you do have these teams where, the whole out of nowhere kind of thing where they just, RKO the quarterback, and oh, we're taking you down, and blah blah blah, and then they actually do. Uh, sad stories, for teams that I like, and so you just don't know in college football. It's a lot different. So, um, any comments about that discussion? Go ahead and put it in the comments area. Try and take a look at them all and try and answer. If you got any questions or any arguments you'd like, I'll try and take a look at them. Whether it be now or in the future, I'll try and see. As long as it's at a decent time. If you do it like a year later, I'm not sure. Uh, so now let's talk about the NFL playoffs. So now with that, here's what we have, and I'll go through each conference, and we will talk about each seed and who has a chance to make it and who doesn't. We'll go off of that. Okay, so for the AFC side, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-2, who are the first seed. We have the New England Patriots, who are 9-2, also at the second seed. We have the Tennessee Titans at the third seed at a 7-4 record. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at a 4 seed with a 6-5 record. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at a 5th seed with a record of 7-4. And at the 6th seed, we have the Baltimore Ravens at a record of 6-5. And the reason, if you think about it, the 5th and 4th seed, the 5th seed has a better record than the 4th seed. The Jaguars aren't winning their division, and that's why they're in the wild card. You get teams that may have a better record that end up in the wild card because they don't win their initial division, and that's why if you're wondering, well, if they're 6-5 and 7-4, why aren't they switched? That's why. So now let's go to the NFC side. Okay, so the NFC side we have the Philadelphia Eagles, first seed, 10-1 record. Second seed is the Minnesota Vikings with a 9-2 record. Third seed is the Los Angeles Rams with an 8-3 record. Fourth seed is the New Orleans Saints with a record of 8-3. The Carolina Panthers are a 5th seed with 8-3 as well, and the 6th seed is the Atlanta Falcons with a record of 7-4. And so, it's one of those things. You look at it and you're just like, with the AFC side, you can kind of say, okay, well, that's all pretty much going to stay the same. With the AFC side, I look at a couple teams and I say, oh, okay, they really have a chance. But the rest of them, no, because the AFC is really mediocre this year, unfortunately. And there will be teams that in the NFC side will not make it because their conference is so competitive. Well, there will be teams in the AFC that make it just for being mediocre. And that's just the sad truth with this year. You get teams. The lowest record in the NFC is 7-4. The lowest record in the AFC is 6-5 with the Ravens, and even with that, the Ravens and the Bills have a record at 6-5. They're getting extremely lucky with how they play because both are inconsistent. You just don't know what you're going to get. One of them will make it, and one of them will lose in the first round. So you just don't know. Now, we take a look. I do think okay, at this point in the season, and I usually say this, teams that are the first and second seed will more than likely make the playoffs because there are 5 games left, and if you win at least 3 or 2 of the next 5, you will have a record 11-5, and unless your division is really good, you will not lose it. You will not lose the division lead. You will have that still. And especially with the Eagles, the Cowboys and Redskins are 5-6. If they were in the AFC side, they would have a perfect chance to win the division or even get a wild card spot. Being in the NFC side, if the Eagles win, then both teams are eliminated. Just automatically from the winning the division. And they are the next closest because the Giants actually just got eliminated, as did the San Francisco 49ers and the Cleveland Browns. So the New York Giants are already gone because the division's already just been taken by the Eagles. So if the Eagles win this next game, they've already got the division. They've already got locked up. They don't have to worry about anything else. So they could just lose the rest of the games if they wanted to, which they will not because they want home field advantage, but they will make the playoffs no matter what if they win this next game. And then you look at the Vikings, and the next closest team is the 6-5 Lions. They can't quite just win the next game and have the division. They do have to work for it. But at this point, the Vikings won the last game against the Lions. It's a real motivational boost, and they are playing a favorable schedule. So, you gotta give it to the Vikings. So, yeah, I think the first two seeds, you talk about the Steelers and Patriots, they're both on a roll. They're both 9-2, and wow, sorry. I don't think they're gonna lose those. I think they're gonna stay. So those will stay put. Now for the wild card round teams. Let's start with the AFC side. Okay, so let's start with the Titans, the third seed. I think okay, so with that, the third seed will either go to the Titans or Jaguars, and that'll be a really close race. Just because it's so competitive between the two, and they both have the same record, and it'll come down to last week, and whoever can win out will be the third seed, and the other team will be the fifth seed. I honestly don't see either of them falling below the fifth seed, only because the sixth seed is the Ravens and, well, not necessarily just the Ravens and Bills, even though that's what it seems to be anymore. You do have like teams like the Chargers and, well, the Raiders and Bengals and all of them that they do have a chance for that, but I just don't see that. The Chiefs, the, I don't know what's going on with the Chiefs right now. They basically, they were 5-0. Great. Alex Smith MVP. Like all this discussion, like, oh, well, he's playing great. He's gonna go to a Super Bowl. Maybe the championship. Oh, maybe they have the championship. Yeah, he'll win that. He'll go to his first Super Bowl day starting, and then he'll win his first Super Bowl. Oh man, the Chiefs, man, the Chiefs are gonna be somebody you want to watch this year. Nope. After that fifth win, they went 1-5, which made me look stupid in predictions at the quarter award for the season, which is a reason why you don't do the quarter awards. And this is how I felt. It's a good thing I have that sound because that's really like just the best way to describe how I'm feeling. So the Chiefs, God, the Chiefs are that one team where you're just like, oh, they do really good, and then they go 1-5, and you're like, why? I just don't know. So we we talk about the fourth seed here. Here's the thing. With that, I honestly think the Chargers will take that from the Chiefs. You got the Raiders, who they the Raiders just, I don't know how I want to say this because they're good, but they're not too good. If that makes sense, they are mediocre because their defense just sucks. They only got their first interception this last game, and that was it was one of those weird ones that it's just not like an actual interception. It's one of those that you're just like, wow, that's crazy how that happened. So they're not going to get in with that defense being the way it is. They got to get it fixed, and they're not going to do that in time. So they're out of here. Bengals, well, Bengals, we just won't go there. They have a chance. Don't get me wrong, because the Ravens are only 6-5, and the Bills are only 6-5. But you just know. Bills have a chance. Do I think they do it? No, I don't. Would it be cool to see them? Yeah, in the playoff drought, that'd be really cool to see. They have a good chance of that for the first time in forever. I just the Bengals just or not the Bengals. Damn, wrong team. The Bills just I don't see them doing it. Again, they started off with a good record. I believe 5-0 as well, actually. Well, let me look real quick because they did go off to a great start, and everybody was thinking that they would just make it with no problem. Um, because what did they start off at? They started off. Okay. Okay, so it looks like on here they won their first game, they lost their second, they won their third, so they were 3-1, or no, they were 2-1, right? Yeah, they were 2-1 because they had beat the Jets, they lost to the Panthers, and they beat the Broncos. So they were 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, and everybody, at that point they were like, "Wow, this team's gonna be good." And then they lost to the Jets, lost to the Saints, lost to the Chargers. It, you look at it and you're just like, man, like this team's good. And
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check in a money market mutual fund. Then we'll repounding interest and it's gone.
the business side, and you think about that, like what they were trying to do with the whole Nathan Peterman and Tyrod Taylor. You got this guy, and he's like, and it's gone. So yeah, the Bills, I don't see them doing it. Okay, so let's look at the. Okay, so final word on the AFC. The Steelers, Patriots will make it. The Titans and Jaguars will make it. The last two teams, I believe, will be the Chargers and Ravens. So the Ravens will still make it right now. They are predicted to, and they will still go to it. The Chiefs' just downward spiral is not going to end anytime soon, and the Chargers will take advantage of it, and they'll ride off strong into the playoffs. So that is my predictions for that. Now let's go to the NFC side and let's talk about this. So the Seahawks, yeah. So where do I start? They're a good team on the surface. When you think they're going to win, they don't because their offensive line has had problems. And don't get me wrong, they did get Dwayne Brown from the Texans, and that was a big upgrade. But they're just too inconsistent. You just don't know what you're gonna get with the Seahawks. You just don't. And you got Earl Thomas down, you got Richard Sherman down, you're getting these key injuries. How are you gonna deal with it? Somebody's going to find a weakness in your team, and that might be the weakness that keeps you out of the playoffs. That one game and that one play might be the one that keeps you out of the playoffs. So I don't see that. They've got to have the Falcons are the 6th seed and the Seahawks are the 7th seed. Okay, if the Falcons somehow blow the lead on this, which let's be honest here, we we know how Super Bowl went. Like after that game, you did a little of Billy Madison. You were like,
You blew it!
and you lose $30, and you're thinking about that, oh, that nice steak dinner and what you could have done with all that money, what you could have spent it on, all that jewelry, and oh man, all that great stuff. But you couldn't because they lost. Because Matty Ice, he choked. Um, okay, with that, okay, that's another story I want to talk about here. I, I don't. I don't think he actually choked. I I I think he didn't. Okay, how do I want to word this now? I think in a sense he did choke, but it wasn't as bad as everybody's making it out to be. Like it wasn't just him. It was the whole team plus the defense was gassed. And that is a lot of it. And then Kyle Shanahan's play calling, which, dear God, him in the 49ers, so I just can't. So, you know, this is so I'm looking at this Bleacher Report Gridiron Heights episode, and it's the first episode of season 2, and it's making fun of the Super Bowl collapse, and I didn't want to play it, but now I kind of want to because it's really funny and it makes fun of like before the season started, like how everything was gonna play out. So here you go.
We are cleared for landing in Gridiron Heights. Welcome back to football, everyone. You like that? You like that? We remind you this is a non-smoking league.
Doing great, Iceman. Just gotta land this bad boy like we've practiced 1,000 times before.
No problem, Coach. Can you give me a read on the approach vectors?
Looks like we're turning from 28 degrees west, headed towards 3 degrees. That's 28 to 3.
What's that?
28 to 3. And perfect conditions. There's no way you could screw this landing up.
Yeah, totally.
Ice? You alright? Matty Ice! Iceman, you good? Oh God, he's choking! He's choking! Is there a quarterback who can land this plane? Oh no, sorry, like a real quarterback.
Sounds like a job for a smoking Jay. Out of my way, scrub. I get this. See ya. Ow, hurt my thumb. I'm done. Hello, darling.
Side note, remember how Jay Cutler was supposed to be the savior of the Dolphins this year? Yeah, that didn't happen. Like, as a Bears fan, I just laugh at that because it's like, I remember how everybody was so high on, like, Dolphins fans were just like, oh my God, we have Jay Cutler now, we're gonna do great. Well, maybe not all of them, but the ones I talked to were very cocky about it. And I'm just like, dude, if you were a Bears fan, man, you would understand why we didn't want him. And they were like, no, it's okay. We got this. We're gonna do great with Jay Cutler. He's gonna be the one that takes us to the Super Bowl. He couldn't do it with you guys because you guys suck. We're the Dolphins. We had Dan Marino. And then you look at them and you're like, Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. Sorry, another side note. Okay. So, Lions, I don't. We were talking about the Cowboys and Redskins. I don't see them doing it. Lions, I don't see them doing it. They're too dependent on Stafford, and that is what's going to kill them in the end and not let them go to the playoffs. And then the Packers. Oh, good old Packers. Where to begin? Okay. Season was going great, and then you had Aaron Rodgers get injured. And you're just like, okay, well, now we have Brett Hundley, and he's learned behind Aaron Rodgers for a while. And you play him. And the first game, he does okay, and you're just like, oh, okay, he was his first game, it was his first game, he might do a little better, whatever. And then you have a play against the Bears, and let me remind you, the Bears are 3-8 right now. And everybody's like, oh my God, we found the savior of the Packers. He will lead us to the promised land. We can do it. And then you have a play the next week against the Ravens, which I'm also a Ravens fan. Yeah, I know, I have two teams. Y'all are going to call me bandwagoners, or, you're going to call me a bandwagon fan, but I have a reason for both teams. It's like I grew up a Bears fan, and my cousin's a Ravens fan, and I hung out with him a lot, and so that's why I'm a Ravens fan too. So anyways, he gets shut out, and you're just like, well, that's okay. The Ravens had a pretty good defense, so let's just see how they played next week. And then you go to next week, and you play this, you're just like, dude, and then you all turn on him, and you're like, dude, this guy sucks. Why did we think he was good? He's not as good. We need Rodgers back. Throw Rodgers in there. And then you throw some other guy named Callahan in there, and you're just like, like everybody's talking about throwing him in, and you're just like, hold up, like, it's like, hold up, like, let Brett Hundley learn a little bit. He needs the experience. Like, let's just let him see. The front office has not done a good job of providing depth, because they literally circled around Aaron Rodgers, and when he went down, actually both times now that he's went down, the whole team has pretty much collapsed without him. And so, he doesn't get injured a lot, and that's a good thing, and that's a testament to his strength, and that's a testament to, like, looking at him as the franchise because he's been able to carry that load. Like, you got like Brady or Roethlisberger. They've been able to carry that load. And when Rodgers, and when Aaron Rodgers went down, the whole team became suspect, and now they can't win. And so you got Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson, who will be really looked at after this season, and they will be seriously evaluated on their jobs. And they may be gone, they may not be, they may just stay, who knows. So, and when the Packers are asked about the playoffs, they turn to Jim Mora and they're like, playoffs?
Well, I'll start off by saying this. Do not blame that game on the defense. And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
And it's you just don't know, and then you've got where to begin with the weird wins. You got the Steelers and the Bears, and the Steelers losing to the Bears, and that's their only their two losses. It's weird who they've lost to. They've lost to the Bears. Who else have they lost to actually? That's a good. I don't remember who else they've lost to. But with the Bears, I've got to bring this rant up because it's so great. The Dennis Green rant, we are who we thought they were. We let them get off the hook. This is probably what they were thinking because they went into overtime. And they lost to a team that literally had not won a game yet.
4 picks against Grossman and 2 fumbles. What did you see about the Bears? We shut them down that way?
No, it takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull. We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Yeah. What a great remembrance. So, yeah, and then, you got the Bears who have beaten the Panthers, too, which that's crazy if you think about it as well, because the Panthers, if they didn't have that loss, would actually be the 4th seed over the Saints, and that is a big, factor in home field advantage. That really factors in a lot. And if you don't believe me, Saints and Panthers were both 7-9 when they went to the playoffs. Both had home field advantage. Both won their games over teams that had a better record. So, yes, home field advantage is a big thing with this. So, with the teams here, okay, so I think it's going to be the Eagles, Vikings, Rams, and Saints as your division winners, and the Panthers will get the wild card. And the 6th seed, with the 6th seed, I gotta say, well, I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question. Looking at the schedule, they're both pretty difficult. I've got to give the edge to the Seahawks. The Seahawks might actually edge us out and win the 6th seed. It's too close to call. You just don't know. And so, that is how it's going to be. I will say, I will make a note that I do see the Eagles losing another game at least. I don't think they're going to go 15-1. I see them losing another game. But with that being said, I do think that I do think that the Vikings will lose another game as well, and that will keep them from getting the 1st seed. So, the same with the, well, maybe not. I think the Steelers, they have a good chance to go 14-2. Patriots might, well, no. Actually, they play each other here soon, so that'll be a good indicator. The Patriots and the Steelers play each other, so whoever wins that will probably more than likely get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So that'll be interesting to watch too, to see who wins that and who has the best advantage in that. So, But that's the discussion for tonight. With the NFL playoffs again. Any comments or questions? Just in the comment area. Last piece of it, our last quick note. We will be back on a gaming schedule here soon. I have to figure out like how I'm gonna do this. It'll be very sporadic. It'll be here and there, hit and miss. I'll try and do shorts again, like highlights, and try and put them online as well. I hope you guys like this discussion. I, like I said, I would like to continue this. If this is something that everybody can get behind and we can like keep this going and stuff, this would be great. There's something I want to leave behind here, okay? Something, uh, so it's just as a funny joke, the whole, his name is John Cena, we got one right here.
And his name is John Stamos!
So, alrighty guys, thanks for watching. Again, subscribe, like, do whatever you want. Dislike, I don't even care at this point. Like, you could dislike me because I said Alabama sucked. I don't know. I'm just kidding. They don't really suck, but no, they should not be in the playoffs. Alright, thanks again guys. It was fun talking, and hope to see you guys in the next video. This is Jin-X-Ken Gaming, and I'm out.